What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And today's show is sponsored by the Off the Ball Network. I'm very excited about this show. Someone that I've really wanted on the show for a little bit. And we were supposed to go on last week, but he forgot his mic. He forgot his mic.
Rookie mistake. Yeah.
He made a rookie mistake, but happy to have him on the show today. Is Alex B of the Bad Weather Fans podcast. Alex, my man, what's going on?
What's up, Chris? How are you? Thanks for having me on. It's going to be fun.
Man. Yeah, man. I'm, like I said, happy to have you on the show. I've been wanting you on for a while, so happy we finally got this.
Yeah,
going.
for sure.
But how's everything going? You know, the craziness in the world, everything. You know, we're still dealing with some COVID crap. How have you handled quarantine and all this and everything going on in the world?
It's been horrible, like everyone else, man. Like I don't know. Am I allowed to curse on here? I don't know.
Shoot.
It's been fucking horrible. It's really what it's been.
It really has.
It's really been terrible.
Been.
You know, I live in New York City, right in the middle of Manhattan, and like with my fiance, and we were stuck here for like a month and a half, and we couldn't leave the apartment. We didn't leave the apartment for like 17 days. We would like order in, we'd do whatever. We just went grocery shopping. We spent like $500, just had a bunch of food. We didn't leave. And we were just like, we got to get out of here. We went to my future in-laws on Long Island, and we were out there for like 4, 5, 6 months, maybe. I don't even know months anymore. Months are subjective now.
I don't even know what today's day is.
Yeah, exactly. So we were out there, and we were back. Now we're home, back and forth. We just got a dog, a little puppy named Ruby. She's gorgeous, and
adorable, by the way. Adorable.
Yeah, I sent you a picture. Yeah, she's amazing. She's so smart. She's a prodigy, of course, and she, now we're back and forth from Long Island to the city. We're gonna be in the city during the week and go out to Long Island on the weekends because, like, even if it's the future in-laws, I love them. They're great, but you can't be around parents for too long when you get into your mid-30s. It's just too much. You know what I mean? It's too much. They mean well. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard.
Sorry,
it's hard
Mom, if you're watching. My mom watches it.
Even my own parents. I can't live my own. I've seen my parents for 6 times throughout the last 6 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't.
Yeah, my mom gets so mad. Like, I've probably seen her in the last since everything's going on, maybe. Like, I could count on both hands. And
my God!
Like, when are you gonna come over here? I was like, maybe tomorrow. And then you get to it, you're like, come on, Mom. I really, and then it's like,
right. And then you get shit for not coming when you come.
Exactly.
It's like, well, what the hell am I coming here for then? I'm just playing. I love my parents too, but you know what it is.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah. So we're back and forth, and now we're back and forth. So when I went back to Long Island, I went to the city, and we're supposed to do it during the week. I left my microphone on Long Island because that's where I'm doing the Bad Weather Fans podcast with Mike every Saturday morning. We record, so I leave it there, and I'm like, just leave it there. I don't really need it. And then as I'm on the way back, I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, my man Chris, I'm such a dick. I hate that. I hate when people promise things and they don't come through and whatever. So I feel bad. I felt so bad.
Stuff happens, man.
Yeah,
stuff happens.
Life.
It's life, bro. I that's why I was not upset at all.
Yeah, but it's all good. Thanks for understanding. And now we're here and we're doing this, and hopefully it does well. So I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. Yeah. Living in New York City, I live in Queens now. I moved from Staten Island to Queens, and
oh wow, well, that's some move. That's like the different. Those two boroughs never have interaction,
bro. Because I was born in Brooklyn, then I moved to Queens. I only lived in Queens for maybe almost close to 2 years. Then I moved to Staten Island. Right. So living in Staten Island for like 20 years.
Wow.
You don't realize how much different it is from every other borough.
Oh my God, it's like a suburb. I have family in Staten Island, so I'm more well versed about Staten Island than most people. Like, I'm from Long Island. I'm from the Five Towns by JFK, and so I spent a lot of time in Queens. I lived in Queens for a little bit. I lived in Long Beach on Long Island, but now I'm in the city. But like, I have like 2 aunts and a bunch of cousins in Staten Island. So I've been in Staten Island a lot, and nobody that I know has ever been to Staten Island. Like, just driving through to go to Six Flags or something.
Before I moved to Staten Island, and then
you didn't get it, right?
Track, but I never heard of Staten Island. Like, I knew. I have. I went to school in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Bronx. I have so much family in the Bronx, so I'm always in the Bronx. Yankees, being a Yankee fan.
Right.
Stadium. Queens, like I said, I lived there for a few years. In Brooklyn, where I was born. Staten Island, I thought Long Island was the 5th borough because I've been to Long Island way more.
Nassau should be, to be honest. It's a little closer than
I've been there way more. Yeah, I've been there way more than I still don't have family, not much family.
Yeah.
Probably I think I have an aunt. I have an aunt that lives in Staten. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Like, I have no one. Like, everybody's.
I probably have more family in Staten Island than you do, and you live there.
And I lived there 20 years, and still like, no, we're not going to Staten Island. It's so
inconvenient. It's so inconvenient to get there, man. You're just sitting in traffic on the belt for hours, or the BQE for hours, or taking a stupid dirty ferry that you get that has to be free.
Because where I work now is only 15 minutes, 20 minutes away with traffic, 25 minutes. Which. Right. compared to when I was doing it from Staten Island to work.
Forget about
It
it.
was
Forget
two
about
and especially on a Friday, like
Mhm.
it was disastrous. So we decided to move closer. But
Right,
my
right.
girlfriend has family here, and the place we're at now she used to live at. So when it got open, she's like, we should go after it. And like I was, I had my hesitancy because it's like it's different, but
Yeah, but
it's
you want to be
definitely
different. You know what I'm saying? You want
yeah.
to
And
have your own.
you have to open up. You have
have
to
your own
change
neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and
We're
that's when
talking
I
about
started doing the
buying some
podcast too, because I was doing that's when I started my podcast, and
Right,
I
right.
literally was so inconsistent when I
Uh-huh.
first started. I would do like a show
One
and then
here.
like not do a show for like a month and a half. I saw like
Mhm.
then like damn, I took 2 months off for a show.
Yeah.
It went in a month and a half, and it's like all right, but
You
once
got to
I
be
got
consistent.
here,
Yeah.
and
If
then
you're
I
gonna build an
started,
audience, you got to be consistent, man.
exactly.
That's what me and Mike are like
You know,
religiously
yeah.
every Saturday morning. We're doing Bad Weather Fans, and that's it.
Exactly,
No
right?
matter
You gotta
what,
have-
9, 10, 8 in the morning, whatever it is. Might do it a Friday if it's a holiday or something. You know what I mean? Like, but we're getting it done.
Exactly. You have to be
That's the
consistent.
advice
If you
for
want to
everybody
make
out
this,
there.
if you want to do something with it, you got to be
Mhm.
consistent.
Because
So-
nobody's gonna. People like they build it into their weeks. You know what I mean? Like one of the first podcasts that got big was like that I listened to was like Bill Burr and like Rich Eisen had one also.
Yeah.
And Bill Burr had the Monday morning podcast. You knew every Monday or late Sunday night you were
Exactly,
having
yeah.
a Bill Burr podcast to get you through Monday, Tuesday on your travels and your commutes. And like that's what
Mhm.
killed it. It was every Monday, no matter where he was. He might be in Belize. He's doing a podcast. He might be doing porn. It didn't matter. He's doing
Didn't
it.
matter. Yeah. Oh, consistency, man.
Yeah, and that's it. And then he blew up.
That's right. Yeah, and
He's
that's
funny as hell too. I mean,
exactly. Oh, yeah, Bill Burr's hysterical, but like it's all about consistency. And then once I moved out here, I just told myself, I was like, now I don't have to deal with that, driving 2.5 hours, then going home tired, only shower, by the time you get actually settled down, it's like 7:30. Like, I
want to go to bed. And
I gotta go sleep
game's
in an
on or something. A baseball game's on. You want to watch that? You don't want to do.
And then like, I can't watch nothing. Like I watched the first quarter of a Knick game, and I'm
passed out.
I'm passed out. So it's but now I had more time, and I put a lot more effort to the show, and luckily I've been able to have a little bit of a following, and it's been good.
That's good, man. It's good.
Yeah. So
same here.
But
I wasn't even going to do the podcast until
No?
I went on my. So I know you were going to ask me about how I started.
That's how I was just going to go right into how you got started. That was my.
Yeah, it was kind of organic. It was a perfect little segue right
there.
Here we go. So we started. I went on. I was a pain in the ass to Nets fans, I guess, last summer with the St. Nick's for Click stuff, and like I wasn't giving them props for signing Durant, and you know what I mean. Like I wanted Kyrie. Don't get me wrong, but Durant, once he got hurt, I was done. Yeah, I was fighting with Knick fans. All the Knick fans and act like they didn't want Durant either, but like they're going to lie. You know how it is. That's fine. You want to defend your team, and that's cool. I get it. You know what I mean? It's just Twitter. And I was fighting with Knick fans forever about that all summer, and Nets fans, and I don't want him. And then when he signed, I was like, you guys didn't approve. I was literally in Montreal for a work trip. I'm doing training some new staff, and I'm in a hotel room in Montreal. I'm about to go to the gym, and then I get the alert because I signed up for the Woj and Shams alerts, and I get the alert for that he signed with the Nets. I went, yes, and like people were like, what the fuck? I'm like, all right, I gotta go back to my room. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew there's no way I'm getting a workout in now. There's no way I'm paying attention to anything. I was just like engulfed in Twitter and like on TV and stuff like that. I was stuck in Canada, and like I turned on TV, there was like no ESPN, they had TSN, and I'm looking at Kawhi news. Kawhi Leonard. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, so it was kind of like that. So I was just, and I just like it just going crazy. And then I interacted with Net fans. I became like public enemy number one, even if I was just tweeting about the Knicks. You know what I mean? I was just tweeting about the Knicks. I say something about the Knicks, and they're like, haha, yeah, well, then that's I'm like, fuck you, man. I'm not even talking about you. You know what I mean? So it just became like, I'm gonna now because you guys are assholes, I'm just gonna deliberately troll you. Because
Dallas fans go at you too, man. I see some of you.
I don't know what it is about me, man. Like I get some like I
laugh, man. I laugh because sometimes I see the threads and this is hysterical.
Yo, man, honestly, and the funniest thing is that they think they're actually getting to me, but they don't. When they put my face like a clown on, like, dude, like I don't fucking care. Like
Spicy Porzingis is going at you. It's just these ridiculous Dallas Mavericks.
Oh yeah, the Dick Nowitzki guy. Like your name is Dick Nowitzki, and you don't have.
There's so many weird Dallas accounts. Like
they're probably all Mark Cuban, like spam. Like he paid the money to get these accounts going, like a Russian trolls. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I went to me and Mike. He's a diehard Nets fan. Mike Biseglia, works at CBS Sports Radio and whatever, and WFN, and he hits me up. He's like, yo, he's like, we tweet back and forth, and then I go back at him, and then something about Julius Randle missing one of those free throws, and I was like, oh, great, great job, like whatever, you got me there. And then he's like, hey, do you want to come on my podcast? I'm like, sure. And I looked at him, I was like, oh shit, it's Mike Biseglia. Like I've heard of him before. Like I heard Gio talk about him, and Evan Roberts. He's like boys with them, and he works with them. He's coworkers. So I was like, all right, yeah, definitely I'll come on. So I get on the show. And we do my thing. We talk about food delivery because the show Mike Delivers is all about food delivery. But then we get into our Knicks Nets stuff, and I say a bunch of things about the Nets. My usual, my greatest hits. Like, oh, great, they practice at a park, big fucking deal. Like big deal. Ooh, you know what I mean, like kind of a thing. And dude, like the video blew up like 10,000 or 20,000 views or some shit like that. And Mike was like, dude, he's like, we do this again? I'm like, yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's like, let's do a podcast. I'm like, I can't, man. I'm wedding planning. I don't have the time, man. Every weekend is going wedding planning, stress, work. They were doing layoffs, and I thought I was gonna get laid off, and like, I was so stressed, and my family was doing.
So you started during right after free agency, or during the quarantine?
No, this was like October. We're talking like when I went on my show. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, I'll give you a timeline. Yeah, we went on it was like October-ish. And then, or December, maybe December. It was probably December. Okay. And then I went on Mike's show a couple times, and then we had interacted with Richard Jefferson online, and I reached out to him. I was like, hey, Mike reached out to me. He's like, hey, do you want to come on? And he was like, yeah, sure. And we're just like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay, like, let's do it.
Sometimes you just got to go after, right? You just got to just ask.
He knew me, and he was like, dude, he's like, yeah, dude, you're fucking annoying. Like he said it to me on the thing.
He's cool though. Like he gets on the Knicks a lot. But when you like, I've heard a lot of people say like he's actually like the dopest person. Like he's
right. He's a good person. Like
he just likes trolling the Knicks, which is
right.
Which is
he knows what he's doing. He works for the Nets, and he works for ESPN. He's got to do what he's got to do. I respect the hustle, but he was just like so we did that. We did that on Mike Delivers, and then we did one or two other shows at Mike Delivers. I went down to the wherever it was, Hudson Street, and we did them, and then after that, like the pandemic hits, and Mike's like, come on, let's do a podcast, or do your own. Come on the Pros Club Network. He has his network. We have a bunch of different podcasts with Rex Walters and a bunch of other guys. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And then the pandemic hit, and we had to postpone our wedding. I'm like, all right, let's fucking do it. I'm like, let's do it because I have nothing going on. I need a hobby. I need to channel my energy into something. Let's do it. And we did it. And now we're doing Bad Weather Fans, and it's kind of doing really well, man. I'm like really happy for it. And like, I'm surprised. And like some of the comments I get from people are really positive, and like everybody, like people like my show. I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I'm like, I'm just, I'm not quitting my day job. I'm just doing what I got to do. And this is working out, and we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Like,
but isn't that cool? Like you said, you're doing this for fun. And yet you get people that hit you up and be like, oh, that was a good show. Like, you guys have a good show. Like, I think that's the coolest thing. Like, for so like cool. Just a guy who works a 9 to 4 every day, has kids, and then people hit you up and like, yo, you did a good show. Like, and like people from like Ohio, California, like in Ireland, I've had people like, it's crazy. It's just so cool.
Ben Little on Twitter. I forgot what his ad is, but he's a big Jets and Knicks fan. And he hit me up. He's like, dude, he wrote a comment on Apple. He's like, oh, I'm down on the Gulf Coast, and Alex always keeps it real, and he keeps me like in touch, and he's like, on top of it. And it was just like the nicest thing. Like, and like I didn't ask for that. You know what I mean? Like, that was crazy, man. Like, thanks. It's like, cool, I might have said, hey, do you mind dropping a comment? You like the show? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then he wrote like such a long paragraph on it. I was like, wow, dude, thanks. You know what I mean? Awesome, like, so it's crazy, man. So
it's what keeps me going when people like. Because you go through those days like, should I keep doing this?
Or friends bust your balls about it. Like, you got a podcast.
Oh, you got a podcast? And I'm like, oh, like,
so everybody.
And they're like,
so what?
Who cares? Like, I get I'm talking, and like, like to think that I've gotten this far with the podcast would be crazy. Like,
you're doing well, man. That's
and it's it's fun. Like I said, and then like I said, on top of that, people hitting you up and be like, hey, you have a good show. Whether it's just one person telling you, is like, wow, the fact that one person even cares about what I have to say, that's cool, right? I think that's so just cool. An awesome aspect of podcasting and YouTube and all this stuff.
Right. Get your voice out there and be heard. And that's it. Because people are kind of tired of the same old.
I can't watch First Take.
We watch it every now and then. I mean, it's on sometimes. It's just like organically, all right, what am I watching? Then pop it on. Who's on? Let's see. And then you're like, oh my God, what am I watching this shit for?
Yeah, I can't do it no more. Yeah. Like, I used to be like one of those people who just
all day. ESPN Sports Center all day.
And now it's like I can't do it no more.
All day. Yeah.
I can't do it. No, I can't watch First Take because Stephen A. If the Knicks do the littlest thing that doesn't right, Stephen A. and he goes crazy. Mac's a fraud. He became a Lakers fan, and then the other show on Fox Sports is
Skip and Shannon.
He goes crazy when
all of a sudden Shannon's the anti-Knick fan, like anti-Knick.
Yeah, every time
who the fuck are you, dude? You're playing football when the Knicks were good, man. You don't even know who the hell they were. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
They talk about three things: the Cowboys, LeBron James, and like they talk about like two things.
The Cowboys. It's
the Cowboys again. Like,
yeah.
You know, I'm sure they went crazy today with the Cowboys and LeBron.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I only catch like the clips. You know what I mean? You catch like a clip.
Yeah, because you see the clips on Twitter and YouTube.
Twitter, you watch it. Yeah, that's how you find. Yeah, I'm not sitting down watching, Skip and Shannon in the morning. No, that's for sure.
and then for sure. And like I said, we give our opinions, and we just try to give people a different,
man, just have a good time. Yeah,
exactly.
And that's the thing is, I think that's why it's so much better with the fan content when people who don't take it too seriously. There's a lot of fan podcasts out there that people take themselves too seriously. They're talking about like, the advanced stats, like the TP percent.
Yeah, I try.
Bro.
Like all that. Like
man, just watch sports, man. Nobody cares about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like nobody. There's a very, so that's the thing, man. I mean, it's cool. I guess people, it's for. I mean, if you want to use it to enhance your point or something like that, sure, use it. But don't like make your whole show about something like that, man. I can't do it.
I can't do that.
And that's the thing about like your podcast. I think it's sort of like that too. In mine, it's where it's like you're not just talking about basketball. You're talking about everything. It's whatever comes up, music, life, sports.
Yeah, because that's what I said. Like when I did a lot of my draft, like when I talked to a lot of these kids that possibly could get drafted, I didn't just talk about all right. So in the pick and roll situation here, why did you do that? Like, and because they've done that a billion times, and like they probably like and I'm just like, hey, let's talk about life. Like how did you get started playing ball? Who was your favorites? How did you decide? How did you decide like what school to pick? Talk about the process, and then like how'd you feel about cancellation? Because a lot of the guys I interviewed, like they're getting ready for tournaments, and like this could be their moment to shine and possibly get more love in the draft, and then it gets canceled. I talked about like that stuff because like you said, X's and O's. I could get to all those the analytics and all that. Well, your defensive net rating was this. Why was it that? Like it's like, all right, no, God, I'm not gonna talk like. It gets crazy to just talk.
It's boring, man. Like I don't want to hear that shit. You can watch. It's advanced stats in basketball, especially, is the worst. I mean, advanced stats in baseball have come. It's grown on me a little bit. I'm not going too far. I'll go to maybe like certain things. But advanced stats in basketball, it's just like you got to really watch someone. You know what I'm saying? You got to really watch the game to know. And the stats like really do speak for themselves. Unless you're like Frank Ntilikina, where you can watch him for like a quarter. You're like, wow, this guy's dominating. You look at, he's like 2 points and 3 rebounds. You're like, what the fuck? He didn't do anything.
Because there's players like that where like a PJ Tucker where he'll have 10 points and 6 rebounds, but if you actually watch the game, he's actually doing tremendous because he's guarding. He's 6'6" and he's guarding 6'10" guys.
He's forcing the pass and
he's
the post.
He's making them work for it. And if you don't, if analytics is not going to show you that. Like
it's not.
So you have to watch the game in basketball, especially
Yeah, the only thing that really works for me in analytics is there's a plus minus. That's the thing that's really it's just plain easy. That makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, that works.
Whatever.
But like all that other stuff, like I said, when I talk to those NBA, like those draft picks, those college kids, I'm not gonna go into like, all right, so you went forward 12. Why did you go 4 for 12? How did you see this double team?
Right.
Because it's like,
gives a shit.
I don't care. Like it's not about that. Like let's just have a genuine conversation. Let's just.
That's for your GM meetings or when you're drafting these scout meetings.
They're already stressing about all that stuff and then dealing with COVID and not being able to work out for teams.
Who did you have on? You had somebody big on?
I mean, they're more like
not big. I mean, just
maybe second round pick guys.
Nice.
Maybe possibly maybe second round underdrafted guys. Yeah, I got like 5 guys. I just reached out. Like I said. You just reach out and you see what happens, right? You see
that's what happened with RJ. Yeah, just had him on. And
I reached out and got a few guys on, and we just, like I said, just had a talk. We talked about the process of what school to pick and feeling the ups and downs of college, that transition from high school. Because, a lot of these guys, they were the man in high school and then they go to college and then they're not playing.
Yeah,
a lot of
work for it again. Yeah.
And then some of them had to transfer, go to JUCO route. I had one guy, Jordan Jackson, who he originally went to Texas Tech, big time program, right? And then doesn't get the minutes he wants and all that, and then has to transfer, goes to JUCO, where it's you go from Texas Tech and you go to JUCO,
right?
And that's like
that's pretty rough. That's a Sean Kemp kind of a story, you know what I mean?
I mean that's tough. And then he eventually made his way back to Division I, and he's another guy who could possibly get drafted.
Good for him, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I've had a couple of Leslie.
If he blows up, man, you got to retweet that podcast. That he blows up.
Because I originally interviewed his teammate Leslie Varner, who's another guy who like I've seen people like have ranked like, and I interviewed him first. And then it led to him getting to his teammate, Jordan Jackson. Then it led to another teammate. And then, like, the whole basketball team started following me. So I'm like, hey, man, you know, building something. And, like, and it's like, you know, just relationship. I got another guy, Isaiah Michaels, another guy who's possibly could get drafted. So, like I said, man, just reach out. And then I'll build a relationship with these guys where, like, you know, and they're interacting on Twitter and just, like, I'm wishing them good luck, you know, process, seeing how they do. And so, you know, it's just cool. Like I said, you just gotta go and try. Like you say with Richard Jefferson, you gave it a shot and it stuck, and like boom, you got him on the show.
Like, holy crap. Like, it was just like, wow. And like, cause he knows me, and he sent out a few tweets just to me. Like, he came out of nowhere that one time. He's like, I miss Knick fans. And then he goes at Knick Central. And he's like from Morton, whatever that cartoon is. I don't even know the name of whatever it was.
Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty. Yeah, there you go. He sent out a thing like that. It was so funny. I'm just like, whoa, what the hell? Like, this guy loves me, man. It's like surreal, dude. I'm like, you know what I always think about? Mike doesn't get the reference. I joke about it with him. We were just talking about Eminem, so it's on my mind. For the podcast, he was like, I keep thinking about the brain damage song. He was like, ever since the day I was born, drugs, what they used to say I was on. I never knew which way I was going, but everywhere I go, they keep playing my song. That's what I keep feeling like. I'm like, wow, like, all right, people, like, some of my friends bust my balls, like, oh, you're doing a podcast, you know. I'm like, all right, you know.
Yeah, but you get a lot of interaction though. You get like when you tweet something, you get interaction.
Right?
So, like,
I don't know. There's something there. You know what I'm saying?
There's something there. Like, you just it's just not a thing where you have like 47 followers, and after like 2 years, like, you see people with that, like. They just have a show, but they're not tweeting, they're not doing all that to interacting with people. Which is listen, in the podcast game, you have to do that. Like, you have to be interactive.
You have to.
If you're not interactive, like, then you're not going to go anywhere. Like, I saw that, like, I opened my Twitter probably, like I said, around the same time as the podcast, but I wasn't interacting at all. And so I'm like, yeah, why am I? Then I started interacting more, and boom, my freaking follows went crazy.
Friends, this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? Make contacts, like us right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Right, networking. Right. I saw you from someone else. I'm like, okay, he's cool. Follow
Coach
him.
Fa. Yeah, it was like Coach Fa show. So you were on the same show. Yeah.
And I work with. I've done a lot of shows with Coach Fa. He was on my draft reaction show.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, cool. It was a tough day for us, but
that was rough.
So let's talk about our beloved New York Knicks. Obviously, it was a rough season, to say the least.
Right.
To say the least, it was a rough season. Obviously, Fizdale, that didn't work out. He was fired. You know, after just a brutal start. Well, we were 4-16. It was tough. Ugh. It was just it was rough. He was awful. It seemed like he didn't know what he was doing, and they kind of threw him under the bus with the meeting and all that. Mm-hmm. So just talk about Fizdale first. Let's get into Fizdale and that disaster, and just talk about, you know, when he was hired, were you cool with that? Did you like the hire, or were you no? It was just
hell no. I was screaming through Twitter at Knicks fans and other people who wanted him so badly over Budenholzer. I know Budenholzer has had his struggles recently in the playoffs, but they're the number one seed. You know what I'm saying? Exactly, you know what I mean? I know they're Giannis and whatever, but he also turned Kyle Korver into an all-star in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things like that where I'm like, yeah, he's a good coach. You know what I mean? And you're gonna get Fizdale, and then you're gonna blame Marcus Gasol for being like, get this fucking guy out of here. Like, who is this guy? Marcus Gasol's like, get this guy. He sucks. Like, so what he said, say that for data. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's a scrub, and he's wasting my career. And he kind of did. And you know, they regressed when he got there. They made the playoffs, whatever. You know, I know it's the West, but it's an accomplishment. But I'm like, no, man. Like, this is not what we need. We need a guy like Budenholzer. We need a guy like just somebody like that's a real coach. And then when he was here and he was like last year, you could still see, even when it was a tank year. You know what I mean? They were tanking for Zion, of course. So they weren't really trying. He didn't really have a shot, to be fair, last year. But you could still see when they were in games at the end and they were trying to win, especially early on, the adjustments weren't there. He wasn't like the play calling wasn't there. It's just like, what is happening right now? You know what I mean? He might be the kind of coach that can only coach like mega superstars, like a Ty Lue or something like that.
And I think that's why they brought it in, because they had this fantasy of like, all right, we're going to get two guys to come here. He has relationships with LeBron and all that. Maybe his relationship with those, you know, with Bosh and Wade, and they can talk to. And then I think that's what they work themselves because X's and O's wise. You know, we all knew that maybe not the greatest X's and O's, but like you said, he had relationships. So
he was friends with LeBron. He was
friends with LeBron.
Rode the bench with that Heat team. Yeah,
exactly,
they love him. They co-signed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone loves him. He's a player's coach. You know, but yet him and Gasol couldn't get along. But yeah, he was a player's coach. But you know, that doesn't make sense. But you know, and Gasol's like the nicest guy in the world. Like, and yet he couldn't get along with him. But you know, it was just a disaster. I think, like you said, they just thought that they were going to get guys, and they figured his relationships would help bring that. And then obviously that didn't happen. So
Right. And that's the thing. And that's the thing. It was just they're like, to be fair, they might have still gotten Durant if he didn't get hurt. I still will go to the grave with that. So they really something happened because everybody was saying he was coming. We could.
It just didn't come from nowhere too, and that's another thing. Like, when
it was everybody. It wasn't just some random reporter in Oakland.
Rick Bucher, Chris Haynes, Stephen A. Smith, everyone. So it's not like
Bondi, Isola, everybody was saying.
But it's not like we just made this up. Like a group of fans just. We were told this is happening. I remember Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes was like, because Chris Haynes he's with the Golden State, and he was like, he's going to New York. He's out. He's going to the Knicks. So of course, if you're telling us it's going to happen, and that's what the media thing it does, and then they make us look like bad fans.
They think they're getting everybody with those memes, and it's like you have little ESPN's in the corner right there. It's like we didn't make this,
and then we get clowned on for believing stuff that national journalists who are respected journalists are telling us.
The journalists,
you're getting Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm cool with that. So everything that happened with
don't clown me.
Don't
clown
them.
Me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Clown
them. Clown Rick Bucher and Chris Haynes and Stephen A. Smith. Don't clown the fans for believing something. Like come on.
Well, so Rick Bucher actually, he's the only one that made the point that actually made sense of why it didn't happen. He's the one who came up. There's a video on YouTube. I'll shoot it to you after the show. But it was he came on Fox Sports, whatever show they have.
Colin. Yeah, he was on Colin.
Yeah. And he was like, listen, this is what happened. The Knicks wanted Durant, but they didn't want Kyrie alone for a year. They never offered Kyrie anything. They had no plans on offering Kyrie anything. They didn't want him alone for a year. But they said, we'll take Kawhi with Durant for a year, but we are not taking Kyrie and Durant for a year. And Durant wanted Kyrie badly. So then Kyrie said, I want the Nets if they don't want me. And they was like, boom. And they went to the Nets. And now they're going to, now they're interviewing on JJ Redick's show, on this show. And Durant's like, I never wanted the Knicks. And I'll shut up, man.
Which we all know is BS.
That's all. Yeah, he works for the Nets right now. He has to. He can't be like, I'm going to the Nets. I haven't played a game yet. I'm be like, I actually wanted to go to the Knicks.
I wanted to be a Knick the whole time, but they messed up or something like that. He's not. We all knew he was going to say that. Right. That's why I stopped listening to and I love JJ Redick. Yeah. But I was like, all right. I'm not listening to this shit because I know it's all BS. Right, we all know it's BS. We all at one point, I don't know when, but at one point he wanted to come to the Knicks. I think it's a given.
For sure.
I don't know if it was
one
the
of the
injury.
Market. Might not have been the team as much as the market and the Garden and the this and the savior to save his reputation. And there was something there, man, because he cares. Like he cares. LeBron, I don't think he really cares. I guess he came back to the Cavs, so you kind of can say he cares, but he also came home because it was home. You know what I mean? He had family. It was it was a bigger meaning.
He's from the area.
Yeah. Durant he cares. He's like, he went to Golden State thinking he was going to be a king. And look at, everybody's like, who the fuck are you, bro? Like,
and it's like, Steph's team still. It's still Steph's team.
It would have been like LeBron joining the Celtics after them not killing him every year. Yeah, it's just like, come on, dude. We should have known then. We should have really known. So that's on us. But anyway, back to Fizdale. So then he comes into this season, right? And it's just so obvious from the beginning that he doesn't know what he's doing. They had more talent on this roster. No Knicks fan was delusional enough to think they were making the playoffs guaranteed. No. They'd be like, you never know, things work out. You might knock on the door for the 8th seed.
But we all thought we'd be at least a very competitive team, 32
to 32.
Around there, like a competitive team where they're going to battle, but they don't have enough talent to win the day end. But competitive. That's what we want.
Not the worst team in the history of the NBA.
4 and 18,
I think.
4 and 16?
I think you're right about that. Yeah.
It was awful. It was horrible. Bad basketball, Alex. It was
we were right. And we're the
last
Julius Randle standing there passing around, and then Julius Randle's like, "Fuck, it was 3 left. Let me shoot." And it was just and then that's and people trash him, and it's like there's no structure. It's like, what do you expect him to do? And Mike Miller comes in. No training camp. He was on the bench. I initially thought he was in Westchester for some reason. I know he was there before. I thought he was there earlier this year, but he was on the bench. But he comes in and he starts and they just look like a different team after a couple games. They just look like a completely different team. They go only 10 games under 500. Towards the end, when the season stopped, RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson were really starting to turn it on. People aren't talking about that enough, man. And that last month of the season would have really, really helped RJ to next year, man. That really, really hurt him bad. Exactly, he had those games against the Rockets and the Bulls, and he was dropping over 25, and he was
especially that Rockets
Randall.
That Rockets game to me, it sticks in my head so much because that game, he started the first quarter was great, but then the second and third quarter he struggles, and then he keeps back in the fourth quarter, takes over a little bit, starts playing better, and then obviously the game winner against to get the 3-point lead against PJ Tucker. I mean, and we're talking about PJ Tucker, who we're talking about now, who is one of the best defenders in the league, and he bullied you know,
Right.
he bullied BJ.
Shoved the shoulder in his chest. Got the space. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So that I think that play,
Mhm.
like we see, like okay, this could be something. And obviously, you know, a few more games after that, it was shut. But after that stretch, I mean, you know, even that game against Atlanta, the last game, I mean, he played good. I mean, so he was on a roll. And then, like you said, man, it would have been fun to see him at least for that final stretch. To see him get some more playing, his confidence, because he already plays with confidence. Even though, you know, yes, his shooting can be, you know, he's still an inconsistent shooter, but he's still a baby. Like that could be worked on.
It's hard, man. You're 19 years old and you're telling these 30-year-old millionaires, like, give me the fucking ball. Like, yeah, okay.
With no spacing too, and he had no spacing,
no coaching, no structure, nobody. Alfred Payton hates him, dude. Like, I liked Alfred Payton, but like, there was that one game. I don't know if it was the Bulls game or something. I forgot what game it was. It might have been the Bulls game where he had that step back, and like. RJ Barrett was on fire in the first half. In the third quarter, he didn't touch the ball until like the end of the third quarter. Like, didn't even touch. I'm not even talking. Didn't take a shot. I'm talking. He didn't touch the ball. Like, how are you the point guard of the team and you don't get the ball to your best player? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was on fire. He just hated him, dude. They got to get rid of him because of that. It was clear. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even need to be in the locker room or have sources. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
but I mean, it was. It was bad.
Fizdale sucks.
He was awful, and I mean, I've seen him on a few podcasts in the last month or so, and you know, he takes. I'll give him credit. He takes it on the chin. He takes full blame. I'll definitely give him credit for that, but it was bad, and I don't think he really wants another head coaching job. I don't think it's gonna happen for
he's toast. He's toast. He's on ESPN. You got the cushy job. Just chill there, bro.
Or I could see him being a lead assistant somewhere. You know,
right. If you're really itching,
where they have all stars.
Go back to Miami.
Go back to Miami stuff. But I mean, like I said, it was bad.
Another thing that bothers me is that people act like this is the worst Knicks era of all time, and it's not even close, man. It's the Isaiah Thomas era is the worst era ever. You know what I'm saying? It's like really bad. It was
that was tough too, man.
It was only embarrassing. It wasn't even embarrassing on the court. It was embarrassing off the court. It was embarrassing,
it was everything.
And I used to blog back then. I used to blog on a bunch of different websites, MVN, they're not around, and a bunch of different sites, Fan vs. Fan and stuff like that. And that's how I got on Twitter back in the day, maybe like a little over 10 years ago, or maybe less than 10 years. I don't fucking who cares. And you know, and I was in college and doing it, and I was just like got on Twitter to promote my blogs and stuff like that. And then I was just like, got tired of blogging. It felt like homework. You know what I mean? I was just like, let me just scratch this itch with Twitter, and then I got here. You know what I'm saying? I told the story earlier. But like back then, it was just like, I was eviscerating. I remember eviscerating Isaiah Thomas, Stephon Marbury, and these guys. Like, what do you do? Stephon Marbury goes AWOL, disappears, you know, and then expects to come back and
the Vaseline,
the Vaseline thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he was on drugs, man.
Eddie Curry trade, the signing of Jerome James,
right? Jamal Crawford even was overpaid. I loved him, but he was overpaid. You know, Marty Collins was a terrible pick over Rajon Rondo. I think Ronald Balkman was over Rajon Rondo. That was bad. You know what I'm saying? Channing Frye over.
He's killing it in Puerto Rico though. Ronaldo Balkman, give him that. You know,
good for him, man.
He's killing. But
he got a bad raw deal. He was okay. I mean, he wasn't that good. It wasn't worth what he was picked. He was a second-round pick, and he got picked in the middle of the first round. You know what I mean? So it's
exactly. That was a bad. I mean, getting Zach Randolph, you know, and then Larry Brown. Yeah, that was bad. It's bad. I mean, if you just think out a whole the last 20 years as a whole, one playoff series win, like it's tough.
It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, I used to be so like vicious back then. I'm glad those blogs don't exist anymore. But like, I'm on Twitter, and like even Isaiah Thomas and Stephon Marbury have me blocked on Twitter because of those days. It's so funny. But you know,
Isaiah Thomas is the worst.
He's horrible. And I was so happy to see Michael Jordan rip him apart in the Jordan docs, bro. I'm so happy. I'm like, yes, bring it back. Bring back the Isaiah slander. I'm like, he's on NBA TV smiling. Everybody's like, hey, yeah, I'm such a good guy.
I'm like, no, you're not.
No,
man, that was awful. It was bad. It's like I said, the last 20 years have been bad, but you know, how do you feel about the hire of Tibbs? How do you feel?
He wasn't my first choice. He wasn't. I wanted Atkinson. I wanted to keep Miller or Atkinson or both. You know what I mean? But Tibbs, you know, I'll put it this way: he's not Fizdale. So it's like, you know, I didn't want him. I wasn't ready for. They're not ready for a coach like Tibbs. I think he's never really developed because when he got to Chicago, you know, Derrick Rose over 2 years in, Noah was already 2 years. You know, people like think that he developed these guys. You know what I mean? Like, there's still something there, but my point is, things like I know that Tibbs or Thibs. However, oh my God, sorry.
It's either or. Tibbs. Some days it's Tibbs for me. Some days it's Thibodeau. If I feel good, it's Thibodeau. If I can get it off the tongue, it's Thibodeau. You know.
Nobody knows what his name is exactly.
Nobody knows.
So yeah, for Coach Tom, when it's like
that's something I haven't heard Coach Tom yet.
Yeah. So if the Knicks get the pieces, he can coach them. You know what I'm saying? I know he can coach. I know he can get the most out of these players. You would think he might work them a little too hard. He might rub people the wrong way, but
they might need it though. You know, some of these guys
might be like
Kevin Knox might need it.
Reference, it might be like Mangini going into Rex, like Coach Tom might be Mangini. You know what I'm saying? And then when Mangini's done, you got to get the guy who's going to come in and just be like, yeah, let's go kick some ass. And okay, we're having fun again. Let's win. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's that. You know, and who cares? I mean, honestly, the coach doesn't really matter.
It all depends on the players, right? It really comes down to that. Like, because you can have freaking, Phil Jackson in his prime as a coach come in and he still can't, it's not going to matter.
Especially in the NBA. And especially the coaches can get you fired. Like, look what the Nets hired Steve Nash. Like, Steve Nash is the coach. He is I didn't even know he was working for the Warriors, but he sat on the bench. And I know, players have been hired before to be coaches, and some of them have been okay. But it's just
for sure for us.
Mark Jackson was okay with the Warriors, but Magic Johnson wasn't such a good coach. It was a couple other guys, but I forgot who was out there. But I don't know, but that's just the hypocrisy. Also, if we go back to the what we were talking about before, it's just like the Nets do something, they hire Steve Nash, and it's like, oh, it's such a good hire.
But if we did it, and I agree, if the Knicks did it, we get eviscerated. Absolutely,
right.
And I understand two different circumstances because they have Kevin Durant, but we still don't know what Kevin Durant we're going to get, and Kyrie has been hurt. How many years since he
every year,
Cleveland?
Last 3-4 years in a row.
Right, he's been hurt every single year.
That's a trend.
Yeah, and that's not like. He's been hurt since Duke, and and that was 9 years. He got hurt. He missed pretty much all but 8-9 games into, because I'm a Duke fan, so I love Kyrie, but
I forgot about that. Yeah,
but he was hurt. He's got hurt at Duke, so this is
played in the tournament. He's like, if I didn't get to play in the tournament, I would have stayed in school. Like, oh, fuck you, bro. You're the first pick in the draft.
You were the number one.
We should have known he was clown back then. Or he says with the Celtics, yeah, I'm gonna come back if you'll have me. Yeah, okay. Fast forward a year, you're not there. You know what I mean?
And they're better. And listen, I really do like Kyrie Irving. I think he's a tremendous player and all that.
Right.
He's got his
good person off the court. Good person.
He does good things, but he's a different.
He's a little aloof.
As much as I'm not one of those people who would be like, oh, I never wanted both those guys on the Knicks. No. Of course, you want talent. You want the best players on the team so we could be good. But the New York Knicks media is different than what Brooklyn has to deal with. Let's just right? It's a different animal. There's a reason why you can get chewed up and spit. That's why you got to give credit to Carmelo. Carmelo he took all the bullets and was able to try to do something. And Mari too. When he came here, he tried to do something. But the media, they don't. As we've seen with both those guys with the media, they can be. They
don't play around. They don't play around.
Yeah,
they don't care about credibility, and they don't play around. You can't do anything. You better be Mother Teresa if you're a Knick. You can't do anything wrong. You can't say anything wrong. God forbid. I remember, I get on Melo sometimes because I think he's over. He's looked at too highly by some Knicks fans, where he's he was like Mr. Knick. Like, no, man, that's I don't want to get into that. He's the one guy who wanted to come, sure, but he also forced his way here and screwed us up for the next 5 years. We couldn't really build the team.
And they should have listened to Donnie. Donnie had the plan. He said, wait. Yeah. Wait, and then he wanted to leave, but they gave him the no trades clause, so he stayed. And it's just like, give me a break with that. But that's like his whole career, because if you think about it, he was supposed to be the third person in Miami. And he messed that all up.
Extra year. Yeah.
He got greedy. And he even said, I got greedy, man. I got worried about. I was like, dude, you're gonna make your money. Like, why are you just wait?
Making money too, man. Like,
you're
not gonna be broke.
You're not gonna be broke. Why are you worrying? Like, you're gonna be on the street if you don't sign this contract.
And maybe that's his mentality from his childhood. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just about that, but it's just. You gotta get somebody to shake him, like, bro, just fucking.
you would be different. You would be held as like a god in Miami.
He's better than Bosch. He's better than Bosch ever was when his heyday.
But that was the plan. It's crazy to think you would looking back now. I wonder if that's ever crossed his mind. Like, damn, that could have been me. I could have been a two-time, three-time. Maybe they would. Who knows? He would have won a championship. We know that for a fact. Whether it was
maybe they had the Chris Paul plan. Maybe he had he's like, you know what? I'm gonna have Chris Paul. We're gonna go to the Knicks. And what I mean? But the Knicks fucked it up with the amnesty and Tyson Chandler and whatever. Fucking Mavericks always gotta it's always the Mavericks. They let Tyson go and they're like, holy shit. Well, that's what you have, but that goes back to ownership, because it's like you can't have an interim GM like being in charge of an offseason that's one of the most important off seasons in your history. You know what I'm saying? You're on the precipice of building this team and you're going up. Like, get a real fucking GM in. You know what? I forgot his name, but he was there for a little. I forgot his name. That was the GM that year. What the hell was his name? It was like 2 years he was there. The Knicks. You know what I'm saying? I forgot his name. Who cares? But anyway, he's a scrub. You know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. Mel, I forgot my point. My bigger point about Melo. I got sidetracked about that. But he did. He did take the bullets. He did take the bullets. Good for Melo. You know, that was good for Melo. He did take the bullets. He took it for Porzingis, but he also kind of poisoned Porzingis, where Porzingis thought he was Melo. And bro, I think
that's an underrated thing about the whole Porzingis thing is that
right.
Like he made him think different, and Porzingis just went off the rail. Him and his brother, they just
right.
Because that relationship just got broken out of much out of nowhere. It felt like
right.
It was everything was good, and then bam,
Phil Jackson's not here anymore, bro. What are you so mad about? Like,
we're doing because that was pretty much the crux of it, right? It was him and Phil Jackson. Like Phil Jackson wanted to trade him, right?
Yeah, and he was right, man. He looked back, you know what I'm saying? He's like, could have gotten Devin Booker or something, man. That would have been crazy.
You know what? Let's not talk about the past, man.
Yeah,
that just hurts. That hurt. I mean,
there's too many what ifs, bro. There's too many what ifs.
There's too many what ifs with this franchise, and like I think that's this
whole history too, man.
It's really how many
even in the 90s.
In the 90s, like where Patrick Ewing makes the little bunny, it's
what if they don't trade Rod Strickland or Mark Jackson? What if they keep one of those for the 90s?
What if John Stark doesn't go 4 for 90 in the finals? There's just so
true.
Much.
What if Charlie Ward doesn't get tossed into the stands? I'm saying, like in the for the seat,
there's too many what-ifs with this team.
Man, we need one. We need one good year. Just give us one title. That's it. I'll quit sports. Like, you know what I'm
saying? Right. I think that's the one. Like,
I'll make Mavericks fans and Nets fans happy, and I'll quit sports forever. Give me one championship. Let me talk my shit, and then I'll delete everything.
For sure. But how do you like? Obviously Leon Rose took over, and it seems like he's building a pretty good front office. Obviously a good coaching staff with Thibodeau, and broke back Mike Woodson, which is I definitely like Mike.
I like that too. But
it just seems like obviously he's a former agent taking over the GM spot and taking over everything. And he seems like he's putting the right people around. Obviously, we can all be wrong, and we could be on this in 2 years and be like, oh, well, now we got a new front office, we got a new head coach.
It's likely, yes, it's likely.
Which listen, we've been so we've been lied to before. We've been thinking that this Phil Jackson was supposed to be the savior.
And the one place he doesn't win, of course, is with the Knicks.
And the one place he doesn't win, of course, with the Knicks. But how do you feel about the moves that have been made so far as the front office? Obviously player development there's a big thing now. We saw, like, giving them some credit, they did develop guys, especially with a lack of assets. They did develop Karis LeVert and all these guys, Jared Allen. So that to me is big, as far as with this team with a lot of guys, young guys. So how do you feel about all the moves they have made so far?
I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I don't know how anybody can be upset. I mean, Glenn Grunwald, that's the guy. Okay, it just hit me. Anyway, so I like the moves that Leon Rose was doing. The Walt Perrin, he's getting the guy from the Jazz. He's getting didn't he get somebody from the Thunder too? He got somebody from the Thunder. I forgot who. From
recently, right?
Somebody from the Thunder. It doesn't matter. Whatever. We're not fucking.
I'll find it.
Doesn't but it's some scouts or something from the Thunder. They got Alex Klein from the Pelicans.
Frank Zanin?
Zanin, that's the guy. Yeah, there you go. So, how many times have we all said on Twitter? I'm sure you have, or just to your boys, and before you were on Twitter, just like, the Thunder can draft, man. They got Harden, Westbrook, Durant.
They draft, and not just at the top of the draft. It's like
Reggie Jackson,
all these guys, Steven Adams, Ibaka,
Bledsoe, Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah, they draft wherever they are. They draft good players.
Yeah, and everyone's been like, let's get their scouts.
Go get their scout. Because listen, no matter where you are in the draft, yes, obviously you want the highest pick, get the best chance to get the best player. But look at like you said, the Spurs have draft wherever they are.
Tony Parker, Ginobili, all late. Yeah.
So it's just a matter of having the right people around you to give you the right information. Be like, okay, this is the guy we need to go after, not this guy. So I continue.
No, yeah. So no, I'm just happy with them hiring guys from good spots like the Jazz. They hired Will
Yeah.
Perrin, like I said. That will, Worldwide West has the
Respected
connects.
guys,
Is
yeah.
fine.
Respected
Steve
guys they have.
Stout. People want to hate on Steve Stout, but this guy's a fucking legend. Like,
Mhm.
what I mean? People hate on him, but like we're both hip hop fans, and like Commissioner
Oh
Steve
yeah,
Stout. You know what I'm saying? Like you know who this fucking guy
yeah.
is. You know what I'm saying? Like don't like
But
people like
people made fun of because the whole thing on
the
ESPN,
sweating on. Yeah. He
they,
shouldn't have went
they shouldn't
on.
have put him on. I think
No,
whoever's the PR, they messed
him.
up.
He was a PR star.
If that was him, then he should have reevaluated.
Yeah. It was a bad idea. Bad
Dude,
idea.
no, you're not ready.
Not there. Not yet. You got to make
We
some
don't
moves
have all
first,
the
bro.
information yet for you to go on.
Yeah. You got to go to class, bro. You got to go to school. You got to learn.
Exactly. We have to teach you this aspect because it's not like hip hop.
No, it's not like this. You're not promoting an album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially for a bad team. And if you
Right.
do something bad, we're gonna get we
Right.
don't need it. We're getting clowned enough. Let's
Yeah, and he knows his shit. Like he knows how to promote. He's gonna be fine. Like they're gonna be fine there. Like you know what I mean? I'm not worried about Steve Stout. Like he's forgotten more things about PR than we fucking know. Just because some old guy in his 50s who writes for some newspaper that nobody reads that has never was like clowning him like, who the hell is Steve Stout? Like that doesn't mean that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like fuck you. But you know they're gonna be fine, and they're gonna they have like their assistant coaches were good. They're hiring Kenny Payne from Kentucky. That was a good signing. Like you said, Woodson. And it's just like they're building the staff. They're getting competent guys. They're not getting the guy who is the default face on 2K. You know what I'm saying? They're not getting some guy. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be okay. Like they're gonna be okay. Like they have coaching. I'm totally confident that with this staff they can help these guys. Like if they don't work out, then it's not because of lack of stability or organizational structure. Like they might make mistakes. Leon Rose might make mistakes. It's his first time in charge of an entire organization, like a basketball team. But it's not like he's some rookie in business. You know what I'm saying? It's business, and it's not like he doesn't know basketball. Yeah, it's not like he just came out of like a hedge fund. Like he's in basketball. Like he knows what the hell to do. You know what I'm saying? So and the other thing that another pet peeve of mine. I don't know if it's yours. Let me ask you this. When an agent is hired, like let's say the Mets hired Brody Van Wagenen or the Knicks hired Leon Rose, I hate when fans or reporters be like, well, he worked for his, he has a connection with him at some point. So of course he was going to hire him. Like everybody who's in NBA circles had connections at some point. And
exactly. It's all full circle. Like everyone talks to each other. Like, yeah.
Like I had Dolan Trump on my podcast.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. He's like, you can have any actor trace to Kevin Bacon and something. You know what I'm saying? So it's so stupid. You know
it's like they talk about that with Shaq. Like there's been a player who's played with Shaq in the last like 20 finals, like some crazy stat like that. Like
it means nothing. It
means nothing. Really like cool what does that mean?
Yeah,
what does that mean?
Nothing.
It means nothing. It's like okay, he played for him for what a couple games. Like
it's a cool story. You know what I mean? Or like Vince Carter's played in 4 decades. Like that's really cool. Like you know what I mean? But like
the last 10 have been irrelevant. you know, so who cares?
It's true.
It really is. Like I love Vince Carter, but
Mavericks. Yeah.
Irrelevant.
Nobody's really remembering that. Yeah.
It's but
no, but I'm happy. I think they made the right hires. I think they're going in the right direction. You can't really hate it. I mean, I'm not super positive it's going to work out. People will want to be like, oh, it's over. They got the stat. I'm like, all right, they did the right thing so far. Like so far they did the right. I mean, I didn't really love Tibbs. I think it's going to unreasonably raise their expectations. I think now there's going to be from the reporters, national, local, hater fans. It's going to be like, well, they need to win at least 45 games now. This coach is there. And the coach doesn't really mean that much. You need the talent. And it's going to be another rebuilding year this year. Like, hopefully, there is an argument made that they can make the playoffs if RJ takes a step, Mitch takes a step. So
I think that, but if RJ could take, because listen, he's one of the biggest what ifs, because he needs to, if he takes that next step, this team could be, a playoff team, right? Because if he goes
through the 8th seed, we're not talking about the 3rd seed. We're talking
exactly. We're not going to be the number 1 seed out of nowhere. It's not going to be the worst to
delusional.
But
that much.
If he takes that jump we're talking about, he goes from averaging 13 points this year to going to maybe close to 20, over that 20 points.
6 assists, 5 rebounds.
He's playing more playmaking. His free throw shooting's better. I mean, that's not even a crazy thought to even think about. Like
20 years old.
We saw Trae Young and Luka. Like Trae Young went from being, he had a good rookie season, but he took off, and Luka same too. Like I'm not comparing it, but I'm just saying it can happen. Like if he takes that jump, we can. And then there's more. Like I said, we're talking about free agency. The year after, now they say, oh, RJ, okay. Up and coming guy.
It's not even free agency.
It puts them in a better positions,
right?
and
nobody's coming to a shitty team unless you're LeBron, who came back to the Cavs for other reasons. You're not no big free agents going to any bad team. It doesn't matter who it is. You know what I mean? No. And that's, they were a little overdone. Then they won a 16 championship last year, like I always say. But but Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving aren't coming if they're a 15-win team. You know what I'm saying? They're not. And that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? They have to have some kind of life. They have to have some kind of pulse. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, and I'm not even worried about free agents in the future. I just want them to keep drafting, keep swinging, keep doing what you got to do. Just keep doing it. Don't make these trades.
Just keep positive.
Or Mike Conley. Don't do any of that bullshit.
Mike Conley.
Just don't sign for
Don't trade for Al Horford just to
Don't
trade Julius.
for Al Horford.
Oh, man. We talked about that before. I saw that trade today, and I wanted to go crazy. Like, just to get a 2024 I saw it was a 2024 first round pick, I think a second round pick, I think this year or next year, and to get Al Horford and just to trade Julius Randle. Like, just to get rid of him. Like, really? I'll take Julius Randle and his spin moves and all that over Al Horford. It's crazy to think that. Yeah. I just see some trades and I'm just like,
well, Knicks fans are desperate. I mean, I feel them. I mean,
I know we're just we've been punched and we've just been kicked while we're down, and we just want to be good and we just want to figure out ways to change it up and be good. But it's just like, let's not do that. That feels like very early, like mid 2000s Knicks, where they would do something like that.
Right, and that's that's the thing that people. That goes back to my other point, where it's like, this is not the worst era because there's hope. With Isaiah, there was no hope. They were over the cap, and they had no draft picks,
and no draft picks, man,
and no real prospects.
Bled us out.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they had nothing. I mean, it was started by the previous GM. It slipped my mind too. I'm bad with the GMs right now. But what the fuck's his name? He's gonna kill me.
Before Isaiah.
Layden? Layden, yes, Layden. Thank you. Yeah. He started the mess with the McDice trade, but then Isaiah came in and made a
fire
bad
Layden chance were
horrible
in the garden.
You could have gotten out. Yeah, you could have gotten out of the Layden mess in a year or two. Instead, Isaiah was like, "No, let's keep trading." Yeah, let's get this guy. We had Mutombo, we had Nazir Muhammad, we had this guy, we had everybody coming through the door, and it was like, "What is going on?" You know what I mean? Like, what's happening here? Shandon Anderson, like, what's going on? You know, but
we thought this was 1998 for a second,
right? But like, Dolan really learned from that, and in 2010 when they struck out on LeBron, like they really struck out. Like, they didn't get him. They struck out. They tried, and they had the structure. They had the team. They were good. They struck out, and it's fine. They didn't get Wade, they didn't get Nowitzki, they didn't get Joe Johnson. They got Amari, and they shouldn't have even gotten Amari. They should have taken it on the chin and said, "All right, let's punt on this offseason. Let's keep David Lee. Let's keep this fun team that we're going to win 40 games. Let's keep it going." You know what I'm saying? And then David Lee wins another All-Star game and wins a championship. The Knicks don't insure Amari's knees. They waste the amnesty, and we know the story. But now the Knicks said, "Okay, we're not getting Kevin Durant." And they wanted him, even though I didn't want him. They wanted him. We're not getting Kevin Durant. We don't want Kyrie or Irving alone. We're not getting Kawhi. We're not getting anybody else. So we're not signing Tobias Harris. We're not getting Jimmy Butler. We're not doing any of this stuff. We're just punting. Let's get Julius Randle. Let's get a couple of nice players, Alfred Payton. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can patch together a team and be competitive, give the rookies a chance, and let's go. You know what I mean? Let's change the process. Fizdale wasn't the right coach for that, but they learned from their past. They learned from Isaiah, and they learned from the Walsh year. You know what I mean? And the Melo trade. And now we're at the Melo trade part. We learned our time with the Amari part, where we punted on the offseason instead of just signing anybody to make the headlines in the short term. Like, play long term. Mm-hmm. When you play long term, people will give you props for the short term in the past. You take your lumps and then get through it, and then you can go. And that's where we are right now. Right now, we're at the point where we're going to trade everything for fucking Donovan Mitchell, who's incredible. But like, you're going to trade everybody for Donovan Mitchell or Devin Booker, and then you're going to have what? You're going to have Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker in New York, and they're going to suck. Like, and then you're going to have
it's going to be Melo all over
again. You might win 45, 50 games one year, and then you're gonna be like, "Oh fuck, now what? Now what do we do? Now we have no draft picks. He got hurt this year. Now what? Like that year with that year with when what's his name got fired. Well, whatever. When Rambis took over for Fisher, Fisher got fired, and Rambis took over, and they had no draft pick. And Rambis is looking at porn on Twitter, and like that was the worst year because there was no hope. There was no hope, man. Like, that's what I'm saying right now.
I remember that? Yeah.
I'm so positive about the Knicks right now because there's hope. They got the picks, they got the cap space, they got the players, they got like.
It just feels like the infrastructure is fine. Listen, like I said before, it can all be wrong. But it for some reason, probably will. We'll be talking about this, like I said, 2 years. And like, hey, Alex, guess we're gonna need a new coach, a new
right.
RJ wants out. RJ's traded to Dallas for a second round pick. Crazy stuff. But it just feels right. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking crazy, but I feel like, all the moves they've made, Leon Rose has hired a lot of smart people around him for, and that's what you have to do when you're a first time GM,
Right.
And you've never been in a front office. Obviously he's been around, contracts and all that, but he's putting smart people around him. And I feel like it definitely has some optimism, but obviously you got to put the players around him for sure.
No, definitely.
That's going to be number one.
Yeah, it's all about his draft picks. I mean, it doesn't matter about your nice coaches and everything that you got. It's all about the picks. It's all hit on these draft picks, man.
Exactly.
Let's do it. Give me a point from this draft. I don't know. What do you think about this draft? I don't care BPA with the 8th pick, but either pick, I needs to be a point guard. I need a live rookie point guard in here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've done a lot of draft stuff, talked to a lot of draft people on my shows, and to just figure out, because it's tough this year. Obviously, with no March Madness, you have no workouts.
Yeah,
no combine. So you're pretty much going to have to use film from December, early games. Yeah. And for a lot of these, like a guy like Wiseman and a lot of these guys, you have to look at high school tape and try to figure out, okay, how does this translate to the pros? That's it. Like Heisman's like, oh, he's really tall. He's super athletic.
Right.
He needs a lot of work though. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But this is a very deep guard draft. And obviously to me, the Knicks have to come out of here with a point guard. That's I've heard Wing, I love Devin Vassell, Okoro. There's so many guys, Denny Avita. But to me, you have to get a point guard.
Thank you.
It's just number one.
This is why we get along.
You just have to. You have to somehow get a point guard. And, I've done plenty of mock drafts on my show where I've taken Kyra Lewis. And people are like, oh, that's a little high. I was like, for me, he's a sophomore Alabama. He just, to me, he runs up and down the court, which is something we need. We need to move faster. Handles. And he's an improving passer. And he is a shot creator from the perimeter. To me, he has a little bit of Kobe White from Chicago. And we saw how Kobe White played towards the,
Yeah, him too. He lost that month, man. He was coming on too. Yeah.
He was coming on. And I also like Cole Anthony too. I feel like he gets a bad rap because when you just look at his stats, which is something you can't just do. He shot at 38, 39%, but he was on a bad team. A UNC team was bad. They didn't have a lot of spacing and all that, and he was banged up.
And they only played a month of the season too.
He was banged up.
I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Like,
and he's banged up, and he's also young too. Like we gotta, we expect 19-year-old kids to just. He can't get better. It's like, yeah, he could get better.
Right.
And the NBA, you're gonna play faster too. Like you see a lot of these guys, like look at Devin Booker. Like if you would have saw his college film, you're like, okay, he'd be a solid player.
It's all right, yeah.
But then he gets to the league where he gets to space up floor and get to shoot and has more room, and he's one of the best players in the league.
Same with Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell too, right? Nobody saw Donovan Mitchell.
Stephen A. Smith can act like he did. You didn't see shit, bro.
No.
Nothing.
You know what's crazy about that draft is that my friend had said, "Yo, you need to watch more." He's a big Louisville fan. He's like, "You go, Donovan Mitchell." I was like, all right, I'll watch. And I watched. I was like, okay, if we, I'm not sure, but okay, but we don't know. I didn't know he was going to be, take off. Because listen, there was people that were saying that he's going to be a 20-point guy, and that's it. Because it looked like that was going to be his ceiling.
Like John Salmons, I saw those kind of comparisons. I was like, yeah, they were wrong.
He's going to be, but then he took off this year. But but for the Knicks, to me, it's point guard. They got to find a guard.
They have to get one.
Kyra Lewis, Halliburton. I know people worry about Halliburton Sharp, but he goes in. To me, that's
Who cares?
I've seen guys who you look at Kevin Knox. His form is beautiful, but they don't go in. So who cares if it doesn't go? How it looks, it goes in. Look
at Sean Marion. He hit a jump. He did open the three, and he can shoot for shit. And he
exactly. I look at Kevin Martin. Look at Kevin Martin.
Kevin Martin or Michael.
He averaged 20 points a game.
Yeah.
Oh, Gilchrist.
He couldn't shoot. Yeah, but he couldn't shoot. That was like weird. That was like a whole different.
It was like Kevin Martin was like weird too. Sean Marion was just like blue.
Yeah, that was completely weird.
Like I said, man, they got to come out with a guard. They have to come up. And even in the bottom of you could take 2-point guards and if all you just go. You have to get guard play. Guard, we don't know. We Alfred Payton come back. He's solid. He's a solid vet. But
you need a vet. They need a vet. Even if they draft a rookie, they need another vet because Ntilikina can't run the point. Yeah,
Ntilikina's not a point guard.
He's off the ball.
He's a third guard off the bench.
Right. Dennis Smith's got to go. You can't worry.
Dennis Smith, we have no.
They got to trade him for picks or something. Just get rid of him. And then
I don't even know if you get much for him. Take the second rounder. He might be better off just going somewhere else because it just seemed like his confidence was shot, and he was going. I know he's going through some some personal stuff, but it doesn't seem like.
But still, I mean,
the
personal stuff or not, he's been going through the same stuff before he had to deal with the personal stuff. You know what I mean? People got on me for being like, not that I don't care that he's going through his personal stuff. Like I care. I feel bad for the guy, but like it's not like all of a sudden he was playing great, then all of a sudden this personal stuff happened, and then it started sucking.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
It's not like,
you know what I mean? Like this is how he is. You know what I mean? This has nothing to do with it. You know, I'm sure mentally he's. You know, I think there's something a little jealousy with him and Ntilikina also. You know, because Ntilikina, he was always like put on the pedestal above Ntilikina, and Ntilikina's actually better than him. Like, you know what I'm saying? He is. He's gonna have a longer career.
I feel like that stems back from the whole Dallas thing. Like, he thought he was the
LeBron
guy because his first year, that first year he was getting praise. He was actually pretty solid, and then Luka comes in and steals all the shine, and I think that really killed his confidence, in my opinion. I think
and then he gets traded to the team that passed on him that he probably hated the Knicks.
He probably despised them. They passed up on me.
I play with Frank now. Fuck. Man.
Yeah. So
and then people are chanting for Ntilikina to come in when he's on the court. You know what I mean? Like
it was, and it felt like he lost all his athleticism too because he's a super freak. So you would think, all right, there's one thing you don't lose. There's one thing you don't lose is your athleticism. Like especially when you're still young, like at least you could show your athleticism. That wasn't even there.
Right. You get that random like one cockback dunk when the lane opened up, you know, every now and then, but that's about just like, okay, where was that?
So they have to improve the guard play.
Definitely need the point guard.
They have to open
but I wouldn't
up
even
the
mind.
floor.
What would you think about bringing in? Sorry to cut you off. What would you think about bringing in a guy like Augustine or not Jeff Teague, but or like Dragic?
I like Augustine. I think Augustine's a good.
Dragic's another free because those are the kind of vets you got to bring in.
You have to bring in one of those guys. Augustine's like a glue guy. Like he's just one of those guys you need to like. Look at he hit big shots for Orlando the last two playoffs, and they're not obviously they're not
as our backup. You bring the guy as a backup. Yeah. Win the job maybe out of training camp.
That can create some shots and move a little bit. To me, Elfrid Payton's too stacked. Like it's just he doesn't move around good. Yeah, he's a guy like Augustine who's a vet who's been around for a while, knows how to play the game, can hit you some big shots off the bench. That would be a good guy to bring in. Along with whoever they draft, but this is going to be a tough draft for them. They're definitely going to do. They definitely going to get their works in with this draft because it's going to be so hard with a lot of these. Especially with how young this league is. Especially these guys being 19 years old, and like I said, the cutoff of March Madness and tournaments, it's going to be tough this draft. But how do you feel about any big moves like a Fred VanVleet possibly? That's been something. And I've gone back and forth with Fred because I feel like he's another glue guy type guy, but to me the price
it's going to be so absurd.
It's going to be because he's literally his price has gone up exponentially.
He's the luckiest guy in the world, man. He's a free agent in the right year for himself. If he was a free agent last year, he wouldn't even be
because there's no free agents.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
He's probably because Anthony Davis is technically will be a free agent, but we all know he's going back to LA. But technically, he's probably I'm just him, Danilo, a lot of those shooters you could think about,
Davis Bertans,
and Fred might be
Joe Harris.
Joe Harris. Fred
I'd
might
take
be
him.
the top free agent.
I want him. I want Joe Harris. I want
I listened to your show. Bertans, Joe Harris, a lot of. I think those they have to get one of those guys for sure.
Yeah, have to. You need the big guy who can shoot the three, and then you just
stretch forward,
get a point guard in and get maybe one more shooter. You know what I'm saying? Just give me something to help RJ. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the mindset. You have to go into this offseason. How do we get RJ better?
Like Mitch will be fine. Mitch is who he is. He might not become the greatest player in the league. Yeah,
he's going to be who he is.
Even if he becomes Marcus Camby, you know what I'm saying, on the Nuggets, where he's winning Defensive Player of the Year, he's blocking a million shots, and that's perfect. You fill that role. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to be.
I'm not worried about he'll be fine the way it's RJ who we have to make sure because we go as far as RJ goes. If RJ takes that step and he's averaging 23, 24, and he's a borderline all-star,
it's possible, man.
Which is possible. Like it's not a crazy.
I'm not saying 30. I'm not saying 30.
But it's possible he could be that type of player next season.
With the right coach.
With the right coaches and the right players around. So why not give him every opportunity to flourish by getting him a Bertans or a Joe Harris type of player, which he's had in college and he thrived in college like that with those type of guys where he's driving, he kicks it out to Grayson Allen, he was kicking out to Cam Reddish and hitting shots. That's how he was. He's a playmaker too.
When Zion got hurt, he dominated when Zion got hurt in college.
He took over. He was the point guard pretty much. They pretty much run the offense to him.
Yeah.
So they have to figure out how to get make sure RJ gets maximize his potential.
For sure.
If he takes off, then it makes everything easier for us, right?
That's for damn sure. Yeah, no, I hear you.
It makes everything easier for this team. So I'm hoping.
Me too, man. Never know. I hope so.
Like I said, they've definitely they put the right people around in the front office. And, if they have a solid offseason, RJ takes the next step, man, we could be talking about next year, maybe a borderline playoff team or maybe an 8 seed. It's not too crazy to think that they can make an 8 seed if everything goes right.
Right.
So,
never know.
So, gotta try to be
optimistic. Yeah.
You gotta be
cautiously optimistic. Yeah.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, man,
right.
You're obviously you're a Met, Jet, Knicks fan, which is
right. Thanks, Dad.
I feel for you. I feel for you. Like I'm a Knicks, Yankees, Giants. The Giants have been, but at least my Giants have gotten me.
The Knicks are your number one though. Your Knicks are your number one. Your number one team.
Knicks number one. Yeah, that's the first team.
Okay.
Like my uncle got me. Yeah. That's my number one. Giants, Yankees, depending.
Yeah.
But Knicks are to me number one because growing up basketball, and that's my uncle. I remember my uncle made sure I was like, oh, maybe I like the Bulls. Because the Jordan's like, no.
Fuck that, bro.
Yeah. No.
Because he won't be a Bulls fan in 20 years. Yeah.
They're like, they're winning. I was like, no.
No. Stick with your city. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'm a Knicks fan. So Knicks are number one in my heart.
All right, that's cool.
But Mets, Jets, Knicks, man. I mean, obviously the Jets had a rough. The scores doesn't.
Yeah, they only lost 10. They should have lost by 30. Yes. They got that lucky Jameson Crowder touchdown,
and then 68-yard touchdown.
Allen kept fumbling. If he doesn't fumble, they don't get that. They get blown out like 40-0, dude. Maybe they kick a field goal somewhere, but that's about it. That was a bad showing, man. And it just shows rough. Like the incompetence of the whole organization, man. The Gase is a joke, and he was a joke before he was hired, and he's a joke now. And they're going to ruin Sam Darnold.
Whisper thing. We talked about that before, and I was listening to the Michael K show, and he's like, QB whisperer, I could coach Peyton Manning.
Even Jay Cutler. I mean, Jay Cutler was bad, and it was good with the Bears when he was there. But like Jay Cutler was already a veteran. Like he's already been around. He was a little crazy, but he always knew. Whenever he had support or he was motivated, he'd be good. It doesn't even mean about the coach. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just. The Jets said, "Oh, man, this guy, the whole locker room revolted on him in Miami, and they could have waited.
Let's hire him.
Let's go hire him.
Nobody likes him. He traded everyone in Miami.
Everyone.
Nobody liked him in Miami. He gets fired, and the Jets are like, you know what?
Let's hire this.
Instead of taking a chance on one of these other coaches, let's get the guy that no one likes."
People joke because he had like an insane record against the Jets in the 3 years he was at the Dolphins. He might have lost one game or maybe not at all. So like they were a little joking, like the Jets owner, like, oh man, this guy's awesome. He always wins. So stupid. But yeah, no, it's rough, man. It's rough being a Jets, Mets, and Knicks fan. And for me, it's like Knicks and Jets are like my one, and like I can't choose between the two. Like I went to every Jets game as a kid. My dad, he was blessed to have he had season tickets, and like so I like it's ingrained in my family and like this. And my Knicks is like with my.
How old are you, by the way?
I'll be 36 in November.
Okay. So at least you were young for the Mets World Series.
Right. I don't remember. That was 2 years old. Yeah, that doesn't count. So that doesn't count. But at least I've seen the Mets in the World Series. At least like twice. I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? Like every 10 years, the Mets give you something. The Knicks, like growing up in the 90s, I think I tweeted about this the other, like a week or two ago with the movie Eddie. Where it's like the first time I ever saw the Knicks suck was in Eddie, and I went. I remember seeing the movie in the theaters. I'm like, well, the Knicks can't suck. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it was like 1997. It was just like
they wanted to move to Dallas, right? What was it? They wanted to move the team to Dallas, right? That was the
St.
whole
Louis,
thing.
St. Louis, some random shit. That movie was great, and so like I couldn't fathom the Knicks sucking, and now it's just, but it's so ingrained in me with the Knicks, I can't give it up. It's like me and my buddy Randall, like we grew up together watching every game, and like. It's like an obsession with the Knicks and the Jets, and the Mets are my second. What's going on right now? Oh, the smoke detector's going off. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Scaring the dog. The smoke detector went off, so my fiance's like, Alex.
All good.
Because with a dog, especially a puppy, hearing that loud beeping sound.
I do with my dog now. Yeah. Like any little firework or anything, he freaks out and goes to the tiniest.
You got to expose him to everything, so now she knows the smoke detector. That noise sucks for everybody.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So I forgot what I was saying about the Jets or something.
Yeah, Jets. Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. I don't remember.
It's tough.
Point.
I know. I feel for you. I feel for you.
Yeah.
I feel for you. That's tough going back to back with
the Jets. The Jets have been so pathetic the last 10 years. It's like Woody Johnson. Like he held on and kept what Parcells built. You know what I mean? And it was like, all right, we got Herman Edwards. We had a couple good years. Mangini built it a little bit. With Favre and like whatever. He kind of stuck. Then Rex came in, he killed it. And then it's just like then you bring in Tebow. You do all this nonsense. And
what I think it started like especially the last 10 years was the Giants Jets game. When the year the Giants won the Super Bowl, and they're at the 1 yard line, and it's like third and long, and then the pass to Victor Cruz. Because that game, you guys were dominating us.
I was
dominating us. You were.
My dad was right in that corner where he ran to was in the corner of the end zone. So I see that you can see the play, but it's kind of hard to see it when it's all the way on the other side of the field from where I was sitting. And we're like in the corner of the end zone. All of a sudden, you see the pass, and you're like, oh, fuck. And then all of a sudden, you just see him fucking – we're just like, what the hell is happening right now? You know what I mean? And then he fires the ball, and he does the salsa pretty much right in front of you.
And then
20 rows
we
back.
just took over. The Giants just took over.
That was the end of it. Yeah, that was – it was over.
I feel like that's like ever since that game, it's been downhill.
Yeah, they had one decent year where they blew it in Buffalo, week 17.
Yeah.
And that was it,
Fitzpatrick, yeah, man.
It's a mess, man. But like I said, at least the Mets give you something, and then maybe Steve Cohen will come in. Will give us something. And
because he just purchased a team, right? It's official, right?
It's official. It's not officially official, but it's official. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're working.
Because we all thought last time it was official. And
right. But I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? Yeah, but the Jets, man, the Jets are a fucking mess. They got nothing. They're gonna ruin Darnold. They ruin everything. I love Sam. I thought the Giants should have drafted Sam Darnold. I'm big I'm big on like they should have took the quarter. You don't take a running back. I love. You don't sign a running back either, like Le'Veon Bell. You don't do that either.
I love Saquon Barkley and I get it, Le'Veon Bell. But incredible. I love Saquon, but you're not unless you have a Dallas where they had their line. They just had a bad year.
Who was ready. They were ready.
And you just need a guy because you just had a bad season because your quarterback hurt, which happened to Dallas, right? And they're like, oh, they have a once in a generation running back. Let's take them.
Right.
We weren't in that position.
No.
So why not take the quarterbacks where there was a bunch of them? Take one of them and let's get this thing going.
They thought they can win. That's why they paid Odell. They kept Eli. Let's try to fucking put it together and get one last year in here.
I'm a big Darnold guy. I feel bad for him because I feel like the Jets are set. Because listen, Josh Allen, they gave him every reason to succeed, right? They gave him Stephon Diggs. They're giving him a bunch of Zach Moss, running backs. They're making sure he has no reason to say, okay.
Woods is out there too, right? They got all these guys.
They got all these guys. You see all these guys getting, even Baker Mayfield, even though they gave him weapons. And he's failing because he's bad, right?
Yeah. And the Browns are just organizational structure.
But Kyler Murray, you give him all these weapons. They just gave him Hopkins, and he upset the 49ers. But the Jets are like, oh, we're going to take away weapons. We're not going to use
it. Robbie Anderson, no, we'll downgrade the Perriman and be like, oh, no, he's good. He had one good month in 5 years. What are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? And then the best wide receiver draft ever, they say. The most wide receiver, they take one wide receiver they take in the second round. And in the fourth round, they take a quarterback from Morgan State that he's taking up a roster spot. He's not going to play. He's a project quarterback. Right. Why are we taking a project quarterback? We have Sam Darnold in his third year. Just keep drafting wide receivers. Get Becton. That was a good pick. You got to get your tackle. That's fine.
Yeah, Becton was fine because you have to protect your quarterback. That I have no issue with that. But it's the previous years not getting him any weapons.
None.
You should have been all the salary.
Why didn't we get Diggs? Why didn't we get Hopkins? Why were we in on those deals?
Why weren't you in on those deals?
You're not ready
for Cooper 2 years ago. Yeah,
Cooper. Thank you. What are we doing?
I don't get what the Jets. I feel like they're going to set him up to fail, and I see too many people trashing on. And listen, he didn't play the greatest game, obviously, but man, he doesn't have no one to throw a football to.
For him, you know what it was? It's like that stupid pick. That was a really bad pick. But you know what it was? He was out in space. He's like, oh my God, I can make a play. I have no other chance to make a play. Let me just fling it up, and hopefully we can get something going. I'm so anxious to get something doing, get something going, and
try something.
And then
he's just
going to play. And he's regressing.
It's tough. It's tough. They're really setting up him to fail. And Gates being there doesn't do him any. For so much of being a QB, he played better under Bowles than he did with Gates.
You know what he is? He's a fucking con artist. Guess what? He's got.
Because Peyton Manning backed him up. Listen, if Peyton Manning doesn't back him up, he doesn't get the job.
Peyton Manning gets 10%. His contract.
Oh God, I don't think he lasts till week 6. I think he gets.
I hope so. I can't root against them. I'm still rooting for them. Of
course.
If they lose, it's kind of like, all right, if they're gonna be bad, just be the worst. You know what I'm saying? That he's gone and we change. It's like Idzik year all over again, where it's like, if you're going to be bad, just be the fucking worst team so we can get rid of this guy. You know what I'm saying? Because if we go 7-9, 6-10 again, they might be like, well,
that's what happened last year, right? You guys played good toward the end of the game. People are like, oh, maybe he has.
They went 6-2. Yeah, well, a couple of those losses down the stretch were to the Jaguars, to the Bengals, to the Dolphins, some of the worst teams in the NFL. And if you win those games, you're in the playoffs. You know what I mean? What are we doing here? And not to mention the Buffalo game in the beginning of the year where they were up 16-0, they lose 17-16. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't want to run the ball with Le'Veon Bell and use
the first game of the year last year, right?
Right. They go up 16-0. CJ Mosley's killing it. He gets hurt. The defense falls apart. But they don't run the ball to kill the clock. You're up 16-0. Just run the fucking ball. You start chucking it down the field. Come on, man. All right, never mind. I'm getting mad.
Yeah.
You get me upset.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I had to bring up your the Jets, because I have a few friends who are like that, and they're born after you, so they haven't even seen.
Wow. Well, they saw at least the 2000s when they were growing up. You know what I mean? Like,
so they got to appreciate.
For me, I grew up in the 90s, so the Jets weren't good until Parcells came by in 97. So
they went to the AFC. What, they went to the AFC Championship? What, 98, right? Against
98,
the Broncos.
99, they were supposed to be a Super Bowl team, but Testaverde tears his Achilles. And then that was a Ray Lucas year. It was a fun year. It ended up being a fun year, but then whatever. We don't have to
and then the Mo Lewis hit, and you created a monster in New England.
I mean, Brady would have won the job anyway. I mean, they got that extra Super Bowl. They wouldn't have gotten that year with that hit. You can't tell me Tom Brady doesn't beat Drew Bledsoe out for the job the next offseason.
Well, you don't know what Belichick's weird. He's weird. You don't know
that's
what
true.
he does. He could have got cut for all we know. Tom cut him.
He might have been like,
crazy how
all right, goodbye.
Yes,
that's a good point. I never thought of it that way.
You never know. Belichick. But But Alex, man, this was fun, bro. I really appreciate you coming.
A lot of fun. Man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and man, I hope everybody keeps listening to your podcast, man. It's great off the ball. It's awesome. I told you, you got to send me those links with those prospects. I want to check those ones out. I've heard every episode. I'm sorry, but like I've heard a couple, and I really like them. And hope everybody continues to check out Bad Weather Fans on the Pros Club Network. Have a bell on all podcast apps. We're on YouTube now. We got like 4 or 5 episoeds up on YouTube.
I just watched the Dolan Trump episode.
Yeah, that was fun.
He's one of the best. And he tweeted, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago? And then what's his face replied to him. Michael Rappaport
does all the time.
Thinking that I was Dolan. I don't know if he was trolling, and then he knew that wasn't the real Dolan.
I think he knows. I think
he knows, but then I just want to believe he didn't think he knew, so I'm gonna keep it that way. But then
didn't somebody think it was really? I think Karan Butler or something recently thought like it was really Dolan. He's like, I look forward to sitting down with you one day. Like he said something like that. It's like, come on,
hysterical.
Dude.
Come on.
5 seconds of research. Look at his fucking. Why would James Dolan be on Twitter? You know what I'm saying?
First of all, that's the last place he needs to be. It's Twitter.
Right. I'm sure he's got his people there. They know me. They know you. They know every Knick fan on there. They're trolling. They're not trolling, but they're
destroyed Dolan, and if he had a real Twitter account.
Right.
It's kind of obvious that you see it's the picture of him when he was on the Michael K show where he told we're getting guys, and
it's a mesh with Trump's face. It's
hysterical.
It's the best.
It's
awesome.
a council. But I watched that episode. That was a fun episode. But
thank you.
But continue success with all your stuff. Do you want to plug anything you need to plug before?
Bad Weather Fans podcast on all podcast apps. Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, everything, iHeart. YouTube, the Pros Club Network. We have everything. Mike Delivers Pod, where I was originally on. Mike Paseglia's first podcast. He's got a couple other podcasts on there. We also have Real Talk with Rex Walters, a former basketball player. He's got his own podcast. He interviews a bunch of people, including Fizdale. He has an interview with. He has a couple other guys that have been on there. Jason Williams. A lot of guys that have been on there. It's really cool interviews for YouTube shows also. Nice. Check us out, Pros Club Network, and we're going to get some more podcasts that coming soon. So it's really cool. It's growing. So we're really excited about that.
Awesome, man. Continue success, man. Like I said, this is I was really looking forward to this. I'm happy we got this to get this going and chop it up, for a little bit.
Sorry about the smoke detector.
Oh, good, man. That's Zoom now, right?
That's live.
That's live Zoom. That's live TV, man. You never know what's gonna happen, man.
Right.
I had a show a couple of shows ago. The dog's just barking like crazy. Somebody rung the doorbell, and then someone knocks the door hard. I'm like,
you can't do this in an hour, man.
Exactly. Good, but that's the nature of the business. But like I said, Alex, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks,
and like I said, this was fun, man. I hope we can do this together. And
for sure.
Definitely do this again, man, because this was fun. And hopefully we talk about some more positive Knicks news.
Right.
Maybe your Jets.
Maybe they win a game. Yeah.
maybe Gase is gone and it's a beautiful day.
Like I celebrate. That'll be a successful season.
Yeah. But like I said, man, Alex, continues to success with everything. And like I said, thanks for coming on, bro. This is really fun.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys. So make sure I'll make sure to post all the links to follow Alex on Twitter and post all his show links once I get everything going. But on that note, guys, take care and be safe. Wear your mask too.
Yeah, wear a mask. Go to a fucking game. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so we can get to go to games. All right, because it's still weird, like not seeing fans in the stand. I'm not
so weird.
I want to see some fans in the stand to be able to go to games. But all right, guys. Good night, guys.